Picture this. You're in a session with a couple. One partner named Sam is sharing how much they're having to manage all the things in the relationship and in life, and they're exhausted, and you can just feel the frustration that's emanating off their body. And their partner, let's say Dana, says, I can help you tonight. I can make the dinner. And you notice a really familiar resistance begin to happen. The offer for support just does not land as nourishment. Maybe even Sam begins to share frustration of how they're going to have to cook if the family is going to have the quality of meal that they want them to be eating. Plus, Dana makes a huge mess in the kitchen when she cooks. And Sam winds up completely brushing off this offer for support. In that moment, maybe you as the therapist offer an intervention to try to support them. But that invitation for support also drifts right past Sam. Sam is managing a lot right there in the room, all alone. Really familiar experience for them. And this is an example of what it can look like when a nourishment barrier is alive. Nourishment barriers are unconscious habits that protect from the pain of unmet needs. They actually first form in childhood when they are adaptive. They help keep the child safe in an environment where these tender needs are not going to be met. Back then, these strategies were brilliant. So they really allowed someone like Sam to survive or thrive in a way that was necessary. So what's challenging, though, is that one adaptive pattern is now reactive when, as an adult, it's used as kind of a protective reflex that now actually prevents the very nourishment that's wanted. So let's go a little more deep into that example to learn more about these nourishment barriers. So imagine that as a child, say, Sam had the experience of maybe when they reached out for support, they were teased or shamed for needing that help. Or they learned that if they did ask for support, it was going to come at a cost. They're going to owe for something later. Or maybe their caregivers were just really busy or distracted or just managing survival. And so Sam learned as a little one, they were going to have to manage this themselves. So they become a really capable kid, very high functioning. So fast forward to being an adult, Sam has become this strong, capable, reliable person, someone maybe others can really lean on and count on to get stuff done. But now when the partner or therapist or others try to maybe support Sam, Sam might just miss it entirely. They may not even notice that the offer of support is happening, or they might have very kind of specific thoughts arise whenever an offer for support comes. Sometimes we can really listen and notice those thoughts, the words, and they start to help us see how this nourishment barrier is organized inside. So let's say an example of this for someone like Sam might be, well, if I take this help, it's going to come at a cost. You know, if a client has that kind of expression, that's probably because it was actually true at one time. Maybe if a person asked for support when they were younger, they were going to really owe that person for it later. It was going to come at some kind of a cost if it was offered. So they anticipate that. Or maybe they have the thought, I can't really count on people to be there. Right? Again, that was probably really true at one time. They probably couldn't count on that support being consistent or someone being around. And so they expect the support to go away or to be inadequate. And it certainly would be painful if it wound up being that way. So why even open up to taking it in? Again, really protective. This can also lead to additional barriers. You might start to hear someone like Sam saying things out loud like, well, she's not going to do it as well as I would. That's essentially what Sam is saying around the dinner. And it's true. Sam maybe it's true. Sam would do just a really good job at cooking that meal. Maybe they can even all recognize that's a really great strength of Sam's. But they could miss that there's still maybe some nourishment available. There's some value in the contribution of an entire meal being done that they didn't have to do themselves. Or even if they're open to Dana making the meal, maybe they have the thought, well, afterwards I'm just going to have to fix it up myself. So even if they do decide after it's cooked to add some more seasonings to it, they still might kind of miss that there was still nourishment again in that meal being prepared, all the chopping, all the things they didn't have to do, even if they needed to add seasoning later to make it the way they want it. So my hope is you can see from these examples that nourishment barriers are simply trying to help keep the person from experiencing more pain around the tender needs that is associated with. Tender needs being those that are more associated with pain than with nourishment. And unfortunately, it just creates misses now when nourishment is available. So a challenge that can happen for couples with this is the partner who's trying to offer that support can begin to feel really frustrated, right? They might want to be seen or known for their competence, for their contributions. They even might begin to start feeling kind of distant or unsafe because they're anticipating critique of how they don't do things as well, right? And for Sam, this can be frustrating because they're continuing to have the feeling of they're on their own. They have to be the big one. They can't count on others. So it can be really frustrating for both people. And this form of reactivity can be a starting point for conflict and disconnection in relationship. I'm giving today the example of the nourishment barrier around support, but there are many other needs this can come up around, really common around many of the core tender needs, such as love and belonging, being seen or heard, intimacy, safety, autonomy. We can oftentimes see nourishment barriers around these if this is a need has been more associated with pain. As MCD therapists, our first task isn't to push for change around these barriers. The reason I'm naming this and recognizing reactivity is because first, hopefully we're meeting people in a way that just supports them in bringing awareness to these barriers with a lot of compassion for and with the understanding of where they came from and how they served at one time. And we're just helping clients first begin to really recognize this form of reactivity that's blocking nourishment, the very nourishment that they probably really, really want and need. So when we help clients sense this protective reflex in real time, we're helping them to make these unconscious patterns conscious. And people like their partner, Dana, in that moment are likely to start to soften a bit with deeper compassion as they begin to see their partner's resistance to their offers of support as having these deeper origins that are trying to protect someone like Sam. It's not just about them, right? This is a deeper process for Sam that we're bringing more awareness to. So hopefully we're building compassion also around these nourishment barriers. Also, when people can begin to recognize their own nourishment barriers, they can begin to reclaim their choice. They can start to experiment. Maybe someone like Sam might begin to practice taking one full breath in while allowing support in. Just kind of seeing if they can take in some nourishment, soften their body to it. Or maybe they take on the practice of just saying thank you instead of no to offers of support, even when it's something they could do themselves. Probably pretty uncomfortable, right, to do that, to say thank you and receive it. But being in that discomfort helps them to orient to all the offers that there is support around in the world to receive. Or maybe they practice letting their partner do the dinner. And even if it's imperfect to them, right, looking for the nourishment. Just checking in if there's anything good still worth taking in this contribution. So these small moments teach the nervous system a new truth. It is safe now to receive. Helps to update the system and build a more nourishing relationship with this really tender need. So my hope for you from today's video is that when we help our clients and our partners meet these barriers without urgency to change them, but simply bringing the unconscious to the conscious, we're really helping to support clients in recognizing reactivity in the moment. So as therapists, I invite you to reflect. Feel free to pause along the way if you would like. How do you already help your clients notice these moments when their nervous system says no to to what their heart's most been longing for. How do you already support clients in learning about their own nourishment barriers? If what I've shared with you in this video resonates, I'd love to welcome you to learn more with us about helping clients to recognize the many forms of reactivity. And thank you for the contributions and however you're already engaging around this work and your support. And until next time, as always, let's continue to lead with love.